I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. I am so glad to have Mrs. Mummy with us. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great. We've gone through some hoops to get to this interview, but I'm very glad that finally, because I know that you're a very busy person and you've got a lot of things
Mm.
going on in your life, and then to take a little time and talk with me is I'm very appreciative of that.
No, it's my pleasure.
And
I
now
love doing things like this. It's just been crazy busy for me, but I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here. If you could, for folks who don't know you, and I don't know how they don't, if you could you could introduce yourself to
Wow.
everybody, please.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Mrs. I always say, hi, my name is Mrs. The Mummy. I'm a variety YouTuber on Twitch. I also happen to do adult content creation on Fansly as well.
Yes, and a very busy person because you're all over the place, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing to see the reach that you have, that you've been able to do, and the following that you've been able to get. When did you get started doing these things?
Okay, so yeah, it was funny because you mean content creation in general or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Mrs. Mummy?
Well, both.
Okay, okay, sure. So I originally started as a face cam streamer,
Hmm.
probably about 3 years ago, because I've been Mummy for a total of 2 years now, almost 2 years in like August.
Yeah.
And so, well, I debuted in August, but anyway, so I was a face cam streamer originally, and my best friend at the time was a VTuber. I reconnected with an old friend of mine,
Hmm.
and she was a VTuber, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, because I really hated the fact that when I was a face cam streamer, I was being objectified a lot,
Hmm.
and anytime people would come in, they would make like sussy comments and stuff about my body,
Right.
and it was just really kind of demoralizing. And so, which is funny coming from somebody who does sex work, right? But I can explain
It,
explain into that a little
it'll
bit
come out in
later,
the
I guess.
wash, folks.
Yeah. So I was originally a face cam streamer, and I was like, oh, I love this, being able to hide, I guess, behind like, a persona or whatever.
Hmm.
And so my community already called me Mommy. They would always call me Mommy because I'm older. I'm in my late 30s. So I was older, so they were always calling me Mommy. And so yeah, I thought, like, what the hell, let me just put the model on a credit card that I had just paid off, and I was like, just fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. So I like jumped in and like instantly regretted it when I put that much money on my credit card for my original model. But I was like, I was like, I can't keep being a face cam streamer. It's just giving me too much anxiety. I love streaming, but I just don't want to do it showing my face.
Right.
So yeah, it was my friend who was doing it that then she didn't help me find an artist or anything like that. She didn't really tell me how to do it, nothing. I just saw she was doing it, and she was like, you should. And then I was kind of like thrown into the waters to kind of like swim for myself.
Well, I mean, you already done some streaming before with a face cam, so it wasn't
Right.
totally um, uh, new to you, but still, it's an entirely different situation when you do have a little bit of shield in front of you between you and the audience.
Yeah, it was just, but it felt like a whole new beast I had to conquer, It was, I thought like, I think people drastically underestimate how hard VTubing is versus being a face cam streamer.
Hmm.
Because I was a face cam streamer and it was so easy. All I had to do was like put on some makeup, make sure I was dressed, I didn't have to dress pretty, and just like make sure your apartment is clean and that's it, like boom, there, done. But like when you're a face cam, when you're a VTuber, there's so many things that you have to have ready, and make sure that you have the proper equipment, make sure you have the proper programs, make sure your model, make sure, there's just a million things that come with being a VTuber, and it's so much more expensive.
It is, but it also does give you that extra bit of let's say protection, I guess the
Yeah.
best way to put it. At least you feel you have that protection. Does that give you a little bit more room to, a little bit more arm room, I guess, to do what you want on the net?
Yeah, I think what it gave me was a sense of I can be myself more. And
Uh-huh.
that's funny to say, but wearing a mask, I can be myself more.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm allowed to show myself more through my VTubing than I ever was as a face cam streamer. I was very self conscious about how I moved, what I said, how I acted, and at least since people are not like seeing my face and my actions or my body, I can just kind of just be my normal self. I feel like my personality shines a lot through a lot more being a VTuber than it ever did as a face cam streamer for sure.
So, given all that, how do you go from there to Fansly?
Okay, so when I was a face cam streamer, a lot of people would suggest that I have an OnlyFans or a
Mm-hmm.
Fansly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not comfortable enough with my body to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very clear that I was not going to ever step into that realm. Not that I had any like hang-ups about people who did sex work.
Right.
When I was younger, going through college, I was actually an online dominatrix.
Mm.
And what I dealt with mostly was financial domination. And that's how I paid my way through college.
Hey.
So I was very familiar with sex work, and especially sex work online, but it was just that now I was older and I wasn't comfortable with my body to again, I had moved away from to the point that I had even moved away from being a face cam streamer to be a VTuber because I was not comfortable with my body on stream or camera or being objectified. I moved to Fansly. I made the move to Fansly because I've always been a very flirtatious person, and I was that way even when I was a face cam streamer.
Mm-hmm.
But I was being, flirtatious and such on Twitch, but the fear of me getting banned was always kind of looming over me.
Yeah.
I never wanted to cross the line where I was being a little too sussy on stream and then I got banned,
Right.
So, on top of that, I was interested in trying to do some like voice acting work and like doing like adult voice acting things, and you can't really put those on YouTube because they will get flagged and taken down.
Yep.
So I really didn't know what other avenue to go through to do that. I know some people were putting them on Patreon, but I think Patreon was having some issues at the time also.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go on Fansly and put up like voice acting stuff on there. The funny thing is that my voice acting work on Fansly is like very, very limited. I'm still very self-conscious about my voice and getting into character to do voice acting.
Yeah.
So yeah, anytime I get like a script or whatever, I get like really nervous and stuff. I have anxiety because I hate my voice. People love my voice, but I freaking hate it.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
Yeah. So it's really hard for me. I have like anxiety about it. So I don't really even do a lot of voice work. So what people suggested was like maybe just having like, sussy streams or whatever. I had gotten so many gifted items off because I, on Twitch, I was for a while there when I first started. I was kind of popular. When I first did, as most people are sometimes when they start.
Right.
And so I had gotten a bunch of gifts and stuff. And so I had a bunch of love-ins. So I was like, fuck it, let's just see how it goes. And so I do sussy gaming streams on Fansly.
It's
that became a thing.
Well, I mean, it's obviously you've got this. I don't know how you're going to take this, but you got the knack for it.
I think I have a talent for it. I did fairly well when I first started. I still do pretty good. I can't complain. Like my Fansly community is amazing. They're really good to me. And with this past year and all the things I've had to go through, I've had to drastically cut down on the time I spend streaming in general. Even on so my time on Twitch has been very limited to just the weekends.
Right.
So yeah, Fansly has kind of like helped save me through all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but you have been through a lot here recently. Um,
Mm.
I don't know how much you want to tell people about this, but you've been pretty open
Oh,
about it
yeah. Yeah,
on Twitter.
I'm more than happy to talk about anything. Yeah.
And but this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about because I think the way that you've gotten through this is absolutely amazing. And
Oh,
I don't even
thank
know
you.
probably a tenth of what you've had to deal with. Um, how do you keep so resilient to get through these things?
Oh, um, okay. So I guess I'd say for those who don't know, what I'm kind of going through, I'll kind of describe it.
Hmm.
I started content creation in 2022 as Mrs. Mummy.
Hmm.
I debuted 2022 of August with my first model,
Hmm.
and then in 2023 on my birthday, I debuted my no, I'm sorry, that's this year. I debuted my second. Sorry. So, but on 2023 in January, I started a subathon, right?
Right.
And so that was for my birthday. I started a subathon, and I was doing a dirty subathon because I work full time.
Right.
So it would have to be only at night times.
Right.
Would I stream? I was just streaming every day, right?
Hmm.
And so I was doing a dirty subathon, and what ended up happening was that at some point during that subathon, I got very, very sick.
Hmm.
And it was to the point where I did not have any energy. I was like passing out. I was really tired and weak all the time. I was having to call out of work because I just couldn't even like wake up sometimes and get out of the bed.
Right.
I didn't know what was happening to me. I just felt like I it's this might sound a little bit dramatic, but I seriously felt like I was dying,
Well,
like my body was just like giving out on me.
yeah.
And I had no energy to do anything, not even stream, not anything. The only thing I could possibly do was just I stayed very consistent on like Twitter and stuff.
Right.
But what was I supposed to tell people, And I had all these friends who wanted to stream with me and collab with me, and I would set dates with them, and then I would cancel because
Right.
I would be just like knocked out. I'd come home from work and I need to take a nap.
Hmm.
I would come home from work, nap until about 8 o'clock at night, stay up for like 2 hours, and then go straight to sleep again.
Right.
Like that was like I was tired all the time.
Right.
And so I had a lot of tests done, and it turned out that I had some liver damage,
Mm.
and that was what was causing it.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and so the end of like I found that out like the end of last year, well,
Mm.
like around well, not the end of last year, about like summertime of last year was when everything got figured out. You have to consider that's like half a year of me being completely sick.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't even really remember anything from all that time. I had such a bad brain fog that I can't tell you one specific thing that really happened within that time frame. Everything seems like a blur.
Oh.
It's just like a gap in my memory that
It,
whole time.
but people don't realize I had a problem with my liver a long time ago in one of my first surgeries, and
Yeah,
they ended up basically cutting me in half to, to do this and
Jesus.
put it back together.
Hmm.
But and I had a bunch of tubes sticking out of them. Somebody,
Oh my
you ever see a
God.
boxer get punched in the liver and
Hmm.
they can't move?
Hmm.
That's how much
Right.
it affects you. Imagine having
Hmm.
an injury or some sort of sickness to your liver, and it takes it all out of you.
It's absolutely debilitating.
Yeah.
It's considered a chronic illness,
Mm.
because you never know. Some days are good, and then you can have a whole week where you're bad and you're
Right.
almost bedridden. And I didn't have the luxury of being able to stop.
Mm.
I have a full-time job. I have a chronic ill partner. I'm the breadwinner. So no matter what, I still had to go. I had to force myself to go. But it was, essentially like killing me. I was finding no joy in anything.
Right.
It was nice to find out what was wrong with me so that I could then figure out what I needed to do to fix that. but it's not a instant fix, and there's absolutely no medications that can be used to fix what I have.
Right.
So it's not like we're going to give you this and it's going to fix it. No, it was a, hey, you need to fix it yourself, and it's going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of change and discipline on your part.
Mm.
And so it was difficult for me, you know, and so I started this new year like with in my mind as being like, okay, this is a year I'm going to get my shit together, I'm going to get healthy. So from the beginning of this year, I started, you know, going to the gym, changing my diet, all the things that you have to do to make your liver healthy.
Right.
And it's been hard.
Yeah. Well, I hope people realize that you and tell me if I'm wrong, but you give a lot of yourself away. You work your partner. You do a lot for your partner. You work full time. You do different types of streaming. I'm amazed you have any time to breathe, let alone recover from a chronic illness.
I have no time for myself. None.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think, you know, and that's, and your question was, how do you find like the energy to do that, the strength to do that? I think it's just my willpower. I think it really is just the fact that I have this dream to one day maybe be a partner, and if not a partner, that's on Twitch, but if not a partner, that's fine, as long as, you know, my community is getting joy and enjoying what I do, and I continue to grow, even if I never become a partner. But as long as I continue to grow and have that, you know, support system that, I mean, it's going to be super parasocial of me to say this, and people are probably going to hate me for it, but I probably need my community more than they need me.
How is that parasocial? I mean, that's just a fact, isn't it?
I mean, people try to say that it's inappropriate to feel that way about your community, but I feel a very, like, I don't know, because people are like, oh, you're parasocial about your community. See, when somebody leaves my community, I feel it. You know, it hurts me. Like, I feel bad that they've left me, and not that I take it out on them, or like I'm messaging them like, where have you been, you know? But of course I always wonder, you know, it's like, oh wow, you know, I kind of miss this person. They were nice. They were, you know, I felt like they were a friend, you know?
Yeah.
And so I have this strong connection with my community, because before I even started streaming, the reason I started streaming in the first place was, one, you know, I was having huge medical issues, bills because of my chronic ill partner.
Right.
So I couldn't make ends meet with the job I have, and the job I have pays well, but you know, I live in the USA, and our, you know, healthcare system is bullshit.
Yeah.
So I wasn't making enough to pay for all the things we needed to pay for.
You're talking.
So it's like, okay, well,
you're talking to an old. You're talking to an old man who knows all about those bills. Yes.
Right. And so then there was that, and then also the fact that at that point in my life, I really didn't feel like I had anything to call my own. I'm a caregiver to my chronic ill partner. I love him, and I will give him anything and all of myself. But at the same time, I felt like, what is left for me? What do I have that I can call my own?
Right.
Apart from like my job. And while, yeah, streaming is kind of a job too, at the same time, it's my joy. It's what I find joy in doing.
It's a little escape for you.
Yeah, it's what gives me pleasure. Like, I love making people happy. Like, I love being there. I love when people come in and they tell me, I'm so happy to be here, you know, like, you make me happy, or you bring me joy, or, you know, I'm like, I feel like saying, no, you're my fucking joy. You know, I love it. Yeah. I love it. It makes me feel like I have purpose, you know?
Well, there's, if there is any person that I've interviewed so far that deserves to say that, I think you do.
It's a lot to me. Thank you.
I mean, really, given what you're dealing with every day, your own chronic illness, your partner's illness, your job, this, and not just you're not just streaming in one platform. You're doing different platforms,
Right.
different types of things. Um, I personally think that's pretty amazing, that you're able to
Thank
do
you.
this. Um,
It means a lot to me.
well, it's my opinion, and anybody who doesn't like it can find someplace else to listen. So, um, and to be able to do that with the energy that you still bring to it is what gets me too. Because there would be a
Oh,
lot of
thank you.
times. I mean, I'm much older than you are. I could not come up with 1/100th of the energy that you bring to this stuff. I don't know how you do it.
That's probably like my mixture ADHD and my borderline personality disorder that makes me just insane. That makes me able to do it.
You've
I think
you've har-
I don't know.
you've harnessed that energy for good.
Yeah, yeah, I use it for good, not evil. Even though I'm a yandere Dami Mommy style VTuber who's supposed to be a villain kind
Yeah,
of character,
yeah,
but still.
yeah. Well, how do you keep that from um and you have to have this where people try to carry one to the other from the fans only to the Twitch to Twitter and try to keep that. Are you able to keep that separate, or do you want to keep it separate?
Oh, that's difficult. I always let's see. I always promote both on both platforms.
Hmm.
So I'm allowed to say Fansly on Twitch, you know. I'm allowed
Yeah,
to do that.
right,
They won't hit you for that or anything. You're not allowed to put like the link to it or anything, but I have like a card code that links to it, you know.
right.
But I always promote kind of both on both platforms, and I tell them, you know, if I'm streaming on Fansly, that like last night I was streaming on Fansly, and last night I was like, okay, guys, well, you know, I'll see you tomorrow night on Saturday night, but also I'll be streaming, you know, tomorrow morning
Right.
on Twitch, and I let them know that I'll be streaming on Twitch, and a lot of people come over, you know, they'll be like, hey, you know, or vice versa. My Twitch is important because it funnels people to my Fansly. My fans is important because it funnels people to my Twitch, and so it kind of they bounce off each other. So it really just depends on the kind of content that the viewer wants to consume
Hmm.
at that moment. Sometimes I have viewers that only watch my Twitch content. Sometimes I have viewers that only watch my Fansly content. And then I have the rare, you know, unicorn viewer that watches both.
or well,
So
you might have. I'm going to guess you have more people who watch both and don't tell you they watch both.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm sure that, you know, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they'll tell me that they do,
yeah.
and I'll see them. You know, I'll see them in both, and it's great to have them, but they need to know that when I'm on Twitch, you know, I'm trying to be my most professional gremlin-y self
Hmm.
without leaning into the sus nature of things.
Hmm.
And if they say something maybe a little bit too flirtatious, my go-to line is wrong stream or wrong platform,
Yeah, wrong
you know,
platform.
wrong site. Yeah, I'm like, you're on the wrong site.
Yeah,
And I'll just throw that. And it'll be a joke, you know, we'll make a joke out of it. We'll have a good time.
yeah.
About it. But yeah, I don't really try to separate the two because they are what they are. And, you know, I do have to separate my Twitter accounts only because I have to have one that looks a little bit more one that looks a little bit more professional
Hmm.
versus my sus Twitter account that has like all like my sussy pictures and you know, my sussy lewd art
Yeah,
and you know just advertising my Fansly.
yeah. There's some things on there that you have to click extra to see.
I tried to hide it because I don't want people to be out in the wild and like open up their phone and then see like, you know, titties or whatever. So I usually always try to put the censor. I try to put the censor, not always. I'm saying I try, but
Well,
so that they're not like, oh my god,
you've had
I was in front of my priest.
yeah, you've had roundabouts with Twitter too on occasion, haven't you?
Oh, that's an understatement, baby.
They they've
That is such an understatement.
well, sometimes it seems you have like 6 accounts on there just trying to catch up.
My God. Okay. So yeah, it's I have three accounts for Mummy. One is my main account, one is my Loot account, and the other one is my alt account.
Hmm.
And that is normally where I will be posting up like my art with credits and stuff
Hmm.
and my hashtags, because apparently, for those who don't know, hashtags will like flag your site, your account, as being a bot account.
Mm.
And also putting up links will
Right.
also flag your account as being a bot account.
Oh my.
So, or at least like a spamming account. So what I do is I have like my Throne link. Like whenever somebody buys me something off a Throne,
Right.
the announcement goes on my Loot account, because that account will forever be shadow banned, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, it ain't coming out.
It's never gonna be out. So that's why I make sure that my the gifts that I get all funnel into my Loot account, and I don't want my Safe for Work account, which is my alt account, Mrs. Mum Z,
Mhm.
to be flagged as being like to be flagged as anything either, only because that is where I'll be posting on my art. So I want people to be able to find my art through the tags, you know?
Mhm. So now I got to ask you a question because I'm an old man and I'm a little bit concerned, okay?
Okay. Okay, sure.
Do you ever have time for yourself?
Um, so sometimes I take really long baths. I will go into the bathroom and set up a really pretty bath. I'll get like the bath salts and the bubbles and the really like expensive hair mask that I have to leave in there for a really long time, so I have extra reason to stay in there. And I'll just spend about like, I don't know, an hour, sometimes 2 hours, just soaking. And I'll empty out the water and put more in because it gets cold. But I'll just spend my time just soaking and just like decompressing, meditating, like in the bath, disassociating in the bath,
Yeah.
while I'm still on Twitter.
So kind of. Kind of.
It's my time to just relax and just unwind and like not let things really bother me. I'll look at my friends' accounts when I'm on there, post on their things, not worry about what's on my mind. It's just again, like when I came into content creation, I felt like I found my purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like living life without knowing what your purpose is or feeling like what your purpose is was scary for me. I felt like for a really long time my only purpose was to take care of my partner and be a provider, and I felt like there was nothing that was mine.
Mm-hmm.
And this content creation, Mrs. Mummy, she's mine.
Right.
She's all mine, and I share her with the world. And people might feel like they own a piece of her or want a piece of her, and that I love to give it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, that is she's mine. She's my joy. She brings me, like, being Mrs. Mummy. That persona has brought me more joy than anything.
I'm glad. I'm because obviously, if people don't realize this by now, or people who haven't followed you, you do give 120% of yourself out. I mean, it's
to be very transparent with everything I do.
It's really amazing, and we've talked a little bit about your partner, and
Mm-hmm.
you've been amazing as far as that goes, and you are very protective of that and your relationship and how that goes.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mummy Bear, when that comes to that. Do not.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like a mama lion when it comes to my partner.
Yeah.
He's like little baby girl,
Mm.
and I can't my partner is someone who does consecration as well, but for a long time he's just been on hiatus. He started
Right.
and he just because he has a lot going on himself.
Yeah.
My partner suffers from chronic illness. He
Hmm.
suffers from rheumatoid arthritis as well as fibromyalgia. So for
Ouch.
those who don't know what that means is that he's always in pain,
Right.
always.
Yeah.
His skin is on fire and his bones feel like they're breaking all the time. So
Ouch.
his entire body is always in pain.
Right.
That is his medical issue, and that does not include his mental health struggles, which my partner, for those who don't know, has DID, which is dissociative identity disorder,
Hmm.
which is something we just found out the beginning of this year too. So
Hmm.
that was another struggle on top of my health issues, and I had to deal with the fact that what we originally thought was schizophrenia
Right.
ended up being dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah. Knowing that, has that helped?
It's actually been a lot better. Yeah, I was actually surprised. I thought that, finding this out and meeting his alters would be harder, because at first when he mentioned that he thought he may have that, I was very scared and apprehensive at what that meant,
Right.
for us, especially as a couple. We've been together for a very long time, so I
Right.
was like, whoa. I was already now used to the fact that it was schizophrenia that he
Hmm.
had, and then it was like, whoa, wait, it's this instead. But I have to say that it's been way easier actually than it had been when we originally thought it was schizophrenia.
Right. Right. And you, if I'm wrong with this, you let me know. But you're kind of finding out new things about your partner, new new
Yeah,
new
yeah.
parts, and this that has got to. I have no way to. I like trying to be show as much empathy as possible. There's no way to show empathy with that. Um, to be able to do that and maintain what you're doing and be a
Mm.
loving partner and a giving partner is way beyond what the average person could do. It's amazing to me.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Um, I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it ended up being. For one, when I first heard that was what it might be, I was again scared, rightly so, right? I think in media we see dissociative identity disorder as always being something chaotic,
Hmm.
destructive, and aggressive.
Hmm.
I don't think that there's ever been really not that I know of, a media portrayal of someone who has dissociative identity disorder where the character was not so like either the villain
Hmm.
or like the problematic character within the show or the movie.
Exactly.
A couple of, like, there was a Robert De Niro played someone who had dissociative identity disorder in a movie, and he was the one who had murdered his wife.
Right.
Fight Club, where he's the leader of anarchist group.
Right.
Um, the most famous of them all, Split,
Yeah.
which has him turning into the Beast
Yeah.
and having all these different identities. It was actually a movie that I showed my community on purpose so that I can explain to them what my partner, who is part of my community, actually suffers through, but explain, this is an over exaggeration. This is fictionalized. Yes, this is true, and so it helped them
Right.
better understand my partner as well. But yeah, it's really hard to go from schizophrenia, which is just this like very powerful force that degenerates the brain over time,
Right.
to, hey, I have all these different people living inside this one body.
Yeah. Which
And
isn't
when I
degenerative.
got
It
yeah,
yeah. But once you find out something like that, um, yeah, for what they're going through, I imagine it's pretty courageous on their part too, because I would be scared to death had I known that was happening to me. I don't know if I could deal with it. Um,
yeah, and for the longest time, he just didn't understand it,
mhm, yeah, and to not only that, but have a partner that's willing to stand by them and do that is more than special. Um, so I have had my hat off to you for a long time for all of that, the both of you. It's really heartening to see in today's world the amount of compassion that you've shown here. Um, and I'm not just saying that to butter anybody up. A lot of people would have given up in that situation. Both of you would have given up, but to see that it's still going strong and that you're such a mummy bear about it is
A mummy bear. I love that.
is absolutely wonderful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
That means a lot to me.
and still being able to do the streaming and stuff. I just think
Yeah.
you must have like 35 hours in every day or something.
It's crazy. Some days I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Like a lot of the time, but lately with like my changes and stuff, I've been feeling a lot better. But and the streaming too with the partner who has DID, it's kind of funny because one of his alters is feminine,
Hmm.
is a woman.
Yeah.
And he himself is very kind of like we live in the South, so he's very straight laced,
Right.
very, like very, very manly, I guess.
Yeah.
But not at the same time, like not like he goes up there and cuts wood and stuff. But he's just like, set in his ways, like
Yeah.
like
Kind of
kind of
stereotypical
old fashioned, I guess,
stereotypical
in a way.
man type guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of one of those. So for him to have a feminine alter to me always just kind of like was a little bit shocking and kind of funny.
Hmm.
I'm like, and but she is my joy. I just fucking adore her so much. And she's a lot of fun. And what I think is funny is that she likes to stream. She wants to stream.
Yeah.
She's like, I love it, and she just loves people, and she's just bright and bubbly and fun. And my partner Lucid, he's just naturally kind of like grumpy and doesn't get along with everybody, and she's like the polar opposite. It's just really funny to see the different sides of him. And when I found out that he had DID and I met Ronnie for the first time, who was his feminine alter, she was sad one day. I don't remember why, but she was a little sad one day, and I told her, I was like, Ronnie, you don't seem to understand. The moment I met you was the moment that I realized that I have unconditional love for my partner.
Yep. Yeah.
Because if I could love my partner through having a feminine alter,
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew that nothing could break us. Like that was the test. That was like the main test. Like nothing could break us.
Absolutely. I don't think anything can break you at all.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
I don't think so. I think anybody who'd want to try would be well advised to just go ahead and attack whatever windmill you can, because this mummy ain't going down. It's just,
You'd be surprised. I do suffer my own things too.
I know.
I have bad days.
Everybody does, but you're
Yeah.
one of the strongest people I've ever talked to.
It means a lot to me. Thank you.
And
I do try to bounce back. But...
yeah, and talented. And we haven't even really got into the channel.
Yeah, let's talk about what the non-trauma based things maybe.
Well, if can you come back and do it again?
You want to do another one?
Yeah.
You want to do a part 2?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.